Now, Jay, go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the YouTubers Core. It's finally here, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the biggest Marvel movie to come out this year, the one we've been the most excited for, and the one you guys have been asking us the most about. That is, of course, Marvel's Civil War, Captain America versus Iron Man. Most of us are Team Cap, but we'll talk about that. We've got a full house tonight. Pretty much everybody. We've got, of course, Chris, Kyle,
Hello.
Bryan,
Uh,
Ricky,
Yo.
and Sean will be popping in and out of the cast, but Sean is here. So I'll hand it over to Chris to get it started.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we're here, and finally, guys, Jay said, we apologize for the long wait, but sometimes schedules got to meet, as well as kind of want to get a full cast. And even though we don't have even a full cast, but we still have everybody here, and we're here to talk about it. So we're gonna go down. We're gonna definitely talk about, give our thoughts, our overall thoughts. Basically, we're gonna talk about the two newest members to the MCU. Definitely, how were their performances? We're definitely going to talk about the Easter eggs overall. We're going to talk about just everything in between that. Was there anything we did not like? Was there something that could have went better? Just the whole 9 yards. I know probably most of us have a lot to say about Zemo, so that's definitely going to be used. We're going to talk about something that was teased at the end of this movie. Well, two things, definitely. So basically, I guess I'll kick it off. Like I said before, guys, if you watched my review, I said it before. I thought this was a really good movie. I had really not too many problems with it. There were some things that I did not like, but everything that led up to the conflict, quote unquote, I very much enjoyed. The pacing was very well done. Um, there were times that I just really exactly what the Russos said. I felt very uncomfortable in terms of seeing the heroes going against each other, especially the last fight. That really kind of was like, okay, this is a little bit uncomfortable for me seeing that. But I did enjoy the movie all around. Seeing the two newest members coming to the MCU was just like they're here, they have established themselves, be happy, and that definitely went the route for me that I was looking for. They got the rise out of me that I was looking for, and boy, like I said before, guys, I was never sitting back in my seat. I was like this the whole time, just watching this movie the whole time, just anticipating everything that was going to go down in this movie. But I very much enjoyed it. So let's go to Jay on this one. Overall thoughts? Hit it.
All right. So overall thoughts. Like I said, in my review on my channel, I loved this movie. This did not beat Winter Soldier for me, but it's definitely pretty damn close. It was a near perfect movie. I loved how the characters interacted. The airport scene blew my freaking mind, and you know, if any of you guys know me, I know you see all these posters back here. This guy right here, my number one. My God, he's finally home. I'm so excited. And hashtag Aunt May, because man, Aunt May is so fine. Oh my God, I loved it. Like that's all I can really say right now before we go into specifics. Oh, and Black Panther for the win. Like major MVP, Black Panther.
All right, Kyle, hit it.
All right. So this is probably my favorite MCU film of all time. This is taking things from both Age of Ultron and Winter Soldier and putting it into one movie. And those are two of my favorites from the MCU. And I thought the movie did a great job of kind of showing both sides of the argument and making it where you don't really know whose side you're really on. Like I went in Team Cap, but then I was like halfway through, I'm like, I don't know. Like, and it wasn't like in a bad way, like in the comic where Cap does questionable things and Iron Man does questionable things. It's just they both have really good points, and it's hard to be on one side. I thought how they the comedy and the very dark tone with this film meshed very well. This is probably the best the film has been. These films have been at kind of combining the comedy and the dark, very serious stuff together. And I think this might be there's a couple things. This might be the darkest of them, the MCU movies to date. There's some great stuff with Iron Man and Captain America as characters throughout, and the final fight is amazing. It's not contrived. It's wonderful. I've been with these characters since I was 10 years old. That's when the MCU started for me, and it was hard to watch Captain America and Iron Man beat the shit out of each other at the end of the movie in such a God, it was hard to watch. But it wasn't like they didn't ruin the characters. It wasn't like the comic. And Zemo, I lagged it, didn't I?
No, just the statement that you said.
Oh, okay. And Zemo, personally for me, he isn't a character, and he has a lot of contrivances like Joker in The Dark Knight does, but I love his plan. I think that's the thing about Baron Zemo is his plan is great. We'll get into it more, but that's all I gotta say personally. So yeah.
Okay, Bryan, go.
All right. My opinion. I loved it. I've only seen it once because monetary reasons, but so I don't want to make a blanket statement that it's my favorite of all time, but it probably is. And all the action scenes were unsettling because you had the part of you that was like, oh my god, this is freaking amazing. But then the other one is like, you don't want to see the heroes that you love fighting each other at the same time. But overall, I really liked it, and this is probably the most I've ever jumped in my seat and made noises in a theater because of it. And just touch on Zemo real quick. I thought he was really good, and I love him, but also in the part of my mind, I separated this version from the comics version. And yeah, I kind of went in Team Cat, but then I kind of left Team Panther. Yeah, everyone.
That's the right way to go.
Everyone was perfect, even the debuts, and that's my general.
I don't know about you guys, but I was Team Red Wing the entire film. Man.
It's cute. Go ahead, pet him. Pet him. Go ahead.
Yeah, go, Ricky.
All right, Civil War, man. Obviously, probably the one of, if not the best Marvel movie to date. It did everything it needed to do. Like it had a great conflict. It definitely sets the tone going forward for Phase 3. But at the same time, it was very much a Captain America movie. And that didn't go when I first read this. That was my biggest fear. This should be an Avengers movie. This shouldn't be a Captain America sequel. But the way they did it with the focus on Cap, but at the same time letting the focus on Tony, it definitely. It was an Avengers movie, but it was a Captain America movie first. I think that was very important to do, and they did that extremely well. Again, too, with the Civil War aspect, it's very. If you go in as whatever team, and you leave out undoubtedly as whatever team, you are just biased and hard-headed because there's no way you can't see both sides of the spectrum. Because on one hand, you have Tony's side, and whatnot, but at the same time, you have Cap. And one of my favorite scenes that really illustrates that is that the scene where Cap was actually ready to sign the Accords, but once again Tony pulled his manipulating line, and Cap was like, nah, nah, nah. That was really good. Like I really liked that, to where it showed that there was a middle ground, but at the same time they just had what Tony did literally showed Cap what could go wrong with the Accords. So I think that was a really good scene right there to talk about that. But I don't know, like it did everything so much. Like as far as them fighting each other, I didn't have a big problem. Like it wasn't hard for me to watch. I thought the airport scene, it was a great mix of amazing action with humor, and for me, the humor did not take away from the action whatsoever. It just made it that much more engaging. And then, of course, the final fight with Tony and Steve, I thought that was absolutely amazing, and had a great outcome in that sense too. So, I mean, everything was done so well, so well.
I think what we're meaning by hard to watch is just these are friends hitting each other, and it's emotional. These are characters we're
I get that. I don't know, like
it's not like a bad.
No. That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't have this hard, like, oh, this is gut wrenching. It's hard to see these guys go at it, because like I don't know, like with the airport scene, you could tell they were fighting, but they weren't trying to kill each other, kind of thing.
Yeah,
you could take that from it, except for freaking Scarlet Witch. She was trying to rip people's heads off. She was throwing cars at mofos. Look, the worst thing that she did, though, check this out. Think about this. The one base normal human, Black Widow in this movie, she takes her and throws her against a building.
You were pulling
She could have broken her back. Like, no, Scarlet Witch was trying to kill him.
She made a dent in that building.
Look, I am
not playing around.
I am a Wanda fan. That was what I wanted to see from Wanda. Like, because if they neutered Wanda like they neutered Thor, I would have been so pissed. But they got what I wanted from them.
They got Wanda right. I mean, she definitely telling the truth about you, Clint. Like, you're pulling your punches. Like, don't pull. Like,
yeah.
Don't pull.
No, she was not pulling. Like, you can honestly say everyone was really pulling punches. Maybe Spidey, too. Spidey really wasn't pulling punches, but he was new to his powers.
I mean, he was a fan, though. Like, he doesn't want to... Would you punch your idol in the face? Like, would you really want to punch your idol in the face?
Spider-Man really didn't have... Sorry.
You could really argue that everyone was really pulling their punches, except for Scarlet Witch. Like, Scarlet Witch was not pulling any punches. So, like, in that aspect, I guess it was easier for me not to be emotionally hurt by watching them. I will say, though, from an emotional standpoint, the most emotion definitely was the Cap Iron Man fight. Like, you could tell, because they were going in. They were going ham on each other. They were like, that was good, and that was really, really well done. That,
especially because for half a second you really think, oh my God, is Steve about to smash his face in?
Yeah, and that was kind of like...
And you also question whether or not Bucky's going to kill him.
No, go back to what Kyle go ahead. I wanted to he was going to say, Kyle. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. The thing with the scene where Steve looks like he's about to kill Tony is, it reminded me, I know Chris and Jeremy, you'll get what I'm referencing. It reminded me of that arc in Rick Remender's run with Nuke, where he's just beating, it's after he gets out of Dimension Z, and he's just beating the shit out of Nuke, and he grabs up his shield, and he almost kills him, and then Falcon just grabs him like, that's enough, and he's like, I almost killed, this guy. I almost killed him. And I love in this movie, for me, is Captain America's character that refuses to change. That was what Winter Soldier was. And throughout this entire film, that is just put to the test. And he almost changes in that moment, but he refuses to. He almost just lets the cynical world take him in, and he doesn't. So he stabs Tony in his arc reactor, which is technically Tony's heart. Not anymore, but it used to be. So
that was a nice. I caught that too. That was a very nice metaphor. That he literally kind of.
What makes it interesting though too is that you could argue both sides are wrong. Like Tony's ignorant to the sense of how bad things can go with the Accords and having someone else in charge. And the thing that really made me think about that is look who's presenting the Accord. It's fucking Thunderbolt Ross. This dude is a scumbag. Like there, and I'm thinking, all right, he's gonna send these motherfuckers at the Hulk. Watch.
Me and Kyle
You
were
know,
joking.
he's an ass. Like you can't trust this dude.
Me and Kyle were joking
But
around,
then,
but we were waiting for Ross to whisper to the Cap like, "Hey, where's Dan? Where's Dan?" Like,
I know, right?
like, 'cause
But on the flip side, you have Cap's arrogance that he doesn't really have to answer anyone in a sense. Like he doesn't have to look. Despite the collateral damage that happens, when they go on these missions, when they do these things, we're still the best in charge, despite what all the leaders of the world are saying. So like there's downfalls to both sides, where you can really gravitate to that, which I thought was really good.
There's a point, and that's kind of where I wanted to go, wrap into the Accord thing. What pretty much their version of the Registration Act. The thing about the Accord, which is kind of stupid, and still stupid even
most of it
now.
isn't the Avengers' fault.
Yeah, the fact is that one, it's only applying to anybody who is a part of the Avengers, not anybody who is other superpower. Because they mention other superpowered individuals are coming out of the woodwork now, but it's not them. But the thing about Ross, which just even when I heard he was going to be back in the movie, back in, and William Hurt was going to reprise his role, and he's talking about this is a different Ross. I'm still looking at it like, how are you a senator? Okay, you go from a general to a senator, and you're the one who
overprotective dad, man.
you're basically the one that created the abomination who reigned havoc in Harlem, and you didn't get a clues for that. And then he started to showcase the damage. Well, the way he presented it was just really like, wait, huh? He's like New York, and yeah, there was damage, but it wasn't the Avengers' fault how that happened.
Alien invasion, yeah.
That was an alien invasion. That was I was like, no, that's not that. Then Washington D.C. and I was like, okay, that was Hydra, but Steve did have a little bit to do with it, okay. And then of course was the
Markovia.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, Tony created this sentient robot, and it nearly wiped out this country. Okay, it wiped out this country. Okay, yeah, but still, I was just looking at him, and I'm just like, I'm waiting for somebody to say, but you're not the only. This is also, you can throw yourself into this, Ross. What somebody could easily say. What about
you created Abomination? Yeah, exactly.
What about
Yeah.
I get the feeling no one knows about that, though. Like, maybe just Bruce does. I get the feeling like he didn't tell anyone. I don't know why.
Yeah, that was the way I also looked at it. It was like, maybe Bruce
Bruce is the only one that knows about Blonsky.
It was probably Shield probably covered it up. They probably covered it up.
But if Shield covered it up, it would have been released when Nat released all those files.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Military could have covered it up.
No, not necessarily. If Shield covered that up before the even conception of before the official conception of the Avengers, would they have added that to the pile? In that sense, especially if Ross was the one overseeing this whole project, or was at least the figure point of the project. He's not going to let himself be incriminated.
Yeah,
so,
and I mean,
Ross is shady.
Yeah, and I don't think the idea of the Accords is stupid. I think it really works because in the Avengers, after the fight's over with and they show all the footage, what does one of the government officials say? This was their fight. Where are they now? People were blaming the Avengers. It looks like it's their fault. I don't know if people know why that fight happened, with Loki and the Chitauri.
I don't think people would explain that whole. I don't think the government would actually even explain that whole thing, even if people asked. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, because they don't want to inspire that much panic. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And it was, and I remember Jeremy. We talked about this with Chris as well, and it was important that they showed shots of the people getting hurt, and it's about innocent lives being kind of just being diminished, just being killed off in these big battles, and it wasn't Cap's fault, or the Avengers' fault in, Winter Soldier, what happened. But their thing at the end of Winter Soldier was even, you took down our national intelligence, like this big thing. Like you blew up like 3 helicarriers and crashed them in Washington, D.C. And even with the last one, the inciting incident, like Scarlet Witch is trying to move that bomb up, but she accidentally kills people, in that explosion. She didn't mean to do it, but the government doesn't want that anymore. They're unsanctioned. They can't have that happen anymore. They will not allow it.
The thing about the helicarriers, if Cap didn't do that, the outcome would have been so much worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing I feel about the Accords, and the thing I like about Civil War in general, it doesn't really borrow as much from Civil War as it does borrow from my favorite Bendis story, Disassembled.
Yeah.
I feel like it borrows a lot from Disassembled.
This is definitely that's what it really felt more like, Disassembled, because the Russo brothers even said it in this, was that this movie is supposed to be the kind of the disassembling of them, and the next one is supposed to be the reassembling of them again, them being as one again. And I kind of like that route that they're taking. Is like, if you break them apart and they find their way back together. It's like you take away a group, a famous rock band. They may break up, because maybe egos get involved or something like that. But then 15 years later, they come back together and they revamp themselves again, and they're back as one, and that's kind of what this felt like. I mean, say what you want about Zemo, but he did something that no villain has done yet.
And he succeeded with his plan.
Yeah, he proceeded with his plan, even though I didn't like him in too much, but with him just going on, all right, Sergeant Bond, tell me about it. I was like, yo, shut up with that, please. But what he did was he took apart the Earth's Mightiest Heroes. He took apart it, and then now with that being set up, that makes it even more like, okay, now Thanos comes, and it's just like nobody's here to protect them now.
But see, what, the Russos played this smart too. They're broken up, but it's not so much as to where you can't conceive them coming back together. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They did that. I think that was probably the smartest thing the Russos did, because that was in the back of my mind going, like, all right, they're going to break up, but we know who is coming. They better get, past their drama really, really soon. And, so they did it. They, pretty much, you could argue that Tony and Cap, their friendship's sustained, but when push comes to shove, they'll still have each other's back. If something happens.
Yeah.
That was very important.
They're brothers in arms. They're not going to give up on each other. That's why Tony didn't just throw away that phone when he got it in the package. He actually, held on to it. And back to what I was saying about Disassembled, so what made me instantly think of Disassembled when the movie was starting was that whole thing with Wanda. Because if you remember Disassembled, the whole thing starts with Wanda having a freak out and shit blowing up.
And you looked at that, it was like they kept Wanda on house arrest, basically. Vision was there to watch her. So you can understand, and I'm like, why is Wanda just... it was like, and then even when you saw her in jail, which I'm kind of going ahead, but it's like she was in a straitjacket. It was just like, how come she's all tied up and everybody... Yeah, you could look at it, yeah, she's out of the most powerful, one of them. She got powers and stuff, but it was just like they exiled her from everybody else. And I'll admit,
without giving her the mutant treatment, they really treated her like a mutant.
Yeah, they treated her like a mutant. And the thing about it is, when they were
even later scene, they even had her on the collar on her.
Yeah, a collar on her. And then when you look at when she had Crossbone, which. And I kind of wish he didn't die. I was really pissed about that. I was like, you gotta stop killing off the villains. But when she did the move and she shot, I was like, Wanda, why didn't you just shoot him up? Why'd you go willy-nilly all the way? It was like...
Well, she was trying to. That's what she was trying to do.
And she has only been for so long, too. So, I figured she might not have that much of a stable control. Like the little fastball special is one thing, but this is like sustained, constant control.
Yeah.
Because in Wanda's defense, I forget how exactly was 1 year after Age of Ultron.
Yep. Yep. 1 year.
All right, so she's had 1 year to train with her powers. It's one thing to take a human being and throw him, in in the direction you want, but to take a combustion of energy and telekinetically throw that where you want it to go, that's harder. That's much harder. And every telekinetic person I've seen use their powers, it's always like that takes a lot of skill to do that. So in her defense, yeah, it was a fuck up on her part, but you really can't be that mad at her because she tried. She tried her best.
But that
It's like
What you need to do is go visit a doctor. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, but the thing is, that's how the Accord come about. It's like, yeah, she didn't know what she was doing, and yeah, and everybody puts the blame on her. Once again, the concept of it's easier to blame the heroes than on the actions than someone else, and that's kind of what that also focused on as well. It's like, yeah, let's blame it on them, and to some degree, yeah, she did screw up, and she accepted that. She's talking to Steve, and that's the one thing I love, that Steve had that he kept true to who Steve is. That kind of had that big brother mentality with her. It's like, look, yeah, you can't focus on, but you let that your error focus you even more, that you overcome that. And I like that while they portrayed Steve of that. And so when he was coming to Scarlett's defense, I loved it. I was like, yeah, look how he's coming to her defense. Like, Tony's like this, but even that scene where they're going back and forth, like, come on, Tony, like,
Yeah, when they were about to sign, when he was about to sign, and then he mentions Wanda, and he goes, "She's a kid, Tony."
yeah, it's like,
That's the thing. She's only like 19, maybe 20, if you really think about it. Like her character, at least.
yeah,
She's just a
and
kid.
Well, the interesting thing about Steve's whole stance on the whole, all the collateral damage and everything, he has a soldier's mentality. He understands that in battle, in war, things are going to happen. Things are going to happen out of your control, and you have to keep pushing forward. You have to keep fighting the fight. So,
yeah,
I think that showed, that was, I think, a defining characteristic in his character in this movie. That's why when the Accords, were presented, everything didn't really affect him as much, because he has that soldier mentality. He knows, the repercussions of what can happen when you're out there doing what you have to do.
Also,
I think that was a really smart move to have that, in this character in this movie.
okay.
I was about to say, I also love Tony's motivation in this movie. I think it's really sympathetic, and you can really understand why he's doing this. I love the airport scene where he's like, I'm trying to stop you from tearing the Avengers apart. I'm doing what has to be done, or something worse can happen.
Also, a really nice build-up from all his character development in all of the Iron Man movies, because throughout all the Iron Man movies, he's dealing with, the lack of closure between him and his parents, specifically his father. But yeah.
Yeah.
And
That tied in really nice.
what I love about sorry.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was about to say, what I love is both these characters, even Tony, they're not ready for this fight. Peggy just died. Tony's kind of going through this breakup with Pepper, and he's kind of atoning for sins with everything he's done with Ultron and all that. He's kind of not in a good mind space right now. Neither of them are, and at the end of the movie when they fight, they're not their best versions. They are very damaged characters. I mean, Tony's more damaged, but Cap is very flawed in what he's doing at the end of the movie. He's not bad flawed, but just, you get what I'm saying. He makes a mistake.
He made a bad call.
Yeah, and I want to address something, and I have sort of, is some people, not a lot, have said that this movie ruins Captain America and Iron Man. I don't think it does. I think they're made very human in this film. Like I just said, Tony is a damaged character. He's very damaged. He has a lot of kind of daddy issues, and even you can tell he kind of loves his mom. And if you saw that guy that killed your mom right in front of you, would you not want to kill him? You know, after everything, like this guy.
I would have flipped too. It doesn't matter whose friend he is. You just watched him murder your mom right there, and he's watching it, and he's not even reacting.
Especially since, like, you know, this is the guy that's protecting him is the guy that your father obsessed over for years. And Tony even says in the film, and we've gotten this throughout the entire cinematic universe, I used to hate you when I was a kid. You know, you could probably make an argument. Tony and his dad would actually be really cool with each other if it wasn't for Captain America.
Also,
you know,
also Steve has become one of his best friends. And how would you feel if your best friend knew about the murder of your parents and didn't tell you about it?
After you just lost your girl.
Exactly, and you know, and it's not Steve's fault he doesn't tell him. I mean, why would you tell Tony? Like, hey, you know, listen, Tony, you know that whole thing with Shield and all that, and that best friend I'm talking to you about? Yeah, he killed your dad and mom. I know you're in a place right now with Pepper, but you know, I just wanted to let you know. Like, why would you do that?
Just fit that into casual conversation. It's like, oh, by the way, Tony, how's the weather doing? You want to go to a game later? Oh, by the way, Bucky killed your mom and dad.
Yeah, and
then there are only two major problems I have with the movie, and one of them's not, and they're not even big problems. It's just like maybe overthinking it, and that is one of them is Steve's constant biased defense of Winter Soldier. That's, I think, because it does get to a point where it's like, especially in the final fight, it's like you kind of should let Tony have this. To be quite honest, I don't think you should let him kill him.
I kind of have a defense in that one.
That's the last family Steve has. Like,
yeah, that's
like, all right, is he thinking does he believe that Bucky? But here's the thing. Does he believe Bucky just because he was brainwashed shouldn't answer for any of these crimes? Because that's kind of hard to say. Hey,
he should answer for it, but he shouldn't die. Tony's going to kill him.
Is that, once again, it goes back to what Steve said in Winter Soldier. It's like, even when I had nothing, I had Buck. So it was always that question of, besides that, Steve would not want Tony to have blood on his hands. You have blood on your hands.
It puts Tony like at an odd place because he's totally choosing Bucky over Tony, which totally destroys that friendship. It really devalues that friendship in a sense.
Well, I mean, Bucky and Steve have been together longer.
But Bucky's not just a friend, though. Bucky's his friend.
Yeah, he's not just friends.
I understand, but so you're saying the Bucky friendship totally devalues and overrides the Tony friendship?
Yes.
In a sense, yeah, because they know each other longer.
You think that's right, though? Everything.
Tony's gone through the invasion and the Ultron stuff, but Steve and Bucky, they grew up together when Steve had no friends, and Steve was just this weak little kid, and Bucky was this smooth, like popular, like everybody loved him, but Bucky still cared for Steve. Bucky believed in Steve. Bucky believed in Steve when nobody else did.
Also,
it's not Bucky's fault. He was brainwashed. It's not his fault. He should stand maybe trial, but he shouldn't be killed. You know, Steve was right for stopping him.
But I mean, I do think there should be some kind of consequences.
And that's the thing.
Also,
yeah, I agree with that. There should be consequences of it. And you hear what Bucky said. He said, yeah, I remember everybody I killed. He's remembered it, but his body was not in control of him. But yeah, I do agree that he should be held responsible. I thought that was kind of that even hints that maybe they would do a storyline where they did it in the comics, where when they found out that Bucky was the new Cap, they put him on trial. They did the trial of Bucky, and they showcased how much he was under control by Hydra, and people like that, and it was a really, really interesting story. And I agree that he should be held responsible for some of the things he's done. And I'm gonna say right now, seeing him kill Howard Stark, that was very uncomfortable for me. I'm like, God damn, Bucky, like, yo.
Yeah.
Especially when Howard was like Sergeant Barnes.
Yeah, Sergeant Barnes. He recognized him instantly. So
Yeah.
instantly, I understand that, but still, the point is like with Steve was morally inserting of it was that look, like yeah, I love that line. He's like, I'm sorry, I can't let you do this. He's my friend, and Tony says, yeah, so is I. And I also look at it from yeah, that's right, he is your friend, but you got to also look at it from a point of view as like this is probably the last bit of remnants of Steve's past that is there. Plus, Steve would not want you to have blood on your hands.
But that's for me.
Yeah,
That
and
whole scenario, like that, just made me like. I was more sympathetic for Tony in that case than I was for Kat.
It's just like but
yeah,
it also implies the point of like, okay, if Tony killed Bucky, what makes you think he wouldn't kill again? It circles back around to that.
And I'm not saying I didn't. I wanted to see Tony kill Bucky. I'm just saying the way like there was like the way Tony was pretty much on his own in that fight. I felt more sympathetic for Tony because Bucky did do it. Whether it was brainwashed or not, at the end of the day, Bucky did do it, and it was like it must have been hard for Tony to have your best friend stop you from trying to avenge your parents' death. Like I can understand why Tony fought so blindly in that case.
yeah,
You
and
know, and really wasn't explaining the
also,
reason.
also, uh, want to add here, the Russos actually came out and did an interview about this, and they said, like, even beforehand, that their goal, their whole thing with Steve, was that he's a man at a time. He's lost everything from his time. Now even Peggy, and the only thing left from his world, from the place that he grew up, is Bucky, and now they want to try to kill Bucky, and he can't allow that to happen. And that's one thing that I like about what they did with Steve in this is they kept him to true soldier. Because when they first did the Accords, you could see it. He was like, "Yeah, this needs to be signed," until they started bringing up his comrades, his brothers and sisters in arms, like what they were going to do with Wanda and what they were going to do with Bucky. Then he started to question it. And so he had like that soldier's dilemma of his country over his fellow men. And that was really cool. And
There was also the point of view of what he also in the argument that he had, which I also liked, was he said when Tony started talking about how when my weapons got stolen, I went out and he said, "But Tony, you chose to do that. You chose that. Nobody asked you to do that." And then
yeah,
he said basically, what if they send us somewhere where we're not needed, and another place where we are definitely needed? So how do we stand on that? And I like that mentality. What he said is, which makes a lot of sense. Is like, what if they send them somewhere? Let's say they send them to Brazil to stop a landslide or something. But over in, let's say, Australia, there's a somebody causing thousands of lives of damage. It's or just maybe a minor hazard. It's also plays up that factor. Like yeah, now they're pulling our strings. It's like okay, we're supposed to go where they tell us to go. It should be a freedom of kind of Steve put it in a point of kind of a constitutional dilemma of like we should choose where we go, and it's not it. But each point, Steve and Tony had their points. That's why it was
yeah,
like nobody was really at fault or nobody could really choose sides in this. But when it started getting to the point of Bucky and you got to stop him, and Steve did kind of stop him, and then here comes Zemo, and then he gets involved, and then of course with Panther being Zemo blaming the death of King T'Chaka on Bucky, it was just like okay, now you got another piece to this big chess puzzle. It's just, and it really kind of focused that way. That made me just like, okay, this is kind of cool the way it's going about because nobody's really, you didn't want to, because the biggest thing I had was please do not just rip off the comic with Civil War, because if that's the case, then I won't side with Tony. I won't, because I didn't like how Tony was in that, and so I've always said I am not a fan of the first Civil War. I've never been a big fan of that. I was not a fan of that because it was instantly just one event, just literally wiped away over 40, 20 plus years of friendship with these characters, and they
Mhm.
started going at each other, and it was just, that was kind of the way I look. And some of the downright underhanded things they did, Tony just did some things that was just like, Tony, I can't believe you did that. Like, really, you did
He was
that?
pretty bad in that as well. I
Yeah,
hated Captain America.
that
He was
wasn't
super out
perfect,
there.
you know. And Maria
No,
Hill, she owns a lot of it too, her bitch ass self too. Excuse me, you know.
Yeah.
she's a comic book character. We
And
can. They're not real. We can say the B word. They're
Yeah,
They're not. They're
but
not real. So
the fact is that when you look at the whole side of it, yeah, nobody was at fault. Everybody had a good argument.
yeah, cause just because I talk so much about Steve, yeah. Also, I'm not biased. I see that there's both sides to both of them. Cause Tony, on Tony's side, um, he's well. First of all, I can't imagine the tragedy of losing both parents. But then, he's had that brought up with him again, with like the whole college thing and all. But that being those emotions being brought back up, plus taking a break with Pepper, plus the
mhm.
woman reminding him about Markovia.
Talking about Alfred Woodard's character,
Yeah,
basically came
yeah,
and basically said, yeah, like, this was my son, who killed him, and yeah, of course that played a lot with him as well. And
yeah. And so all of those emotions, and and him saying that he thought that the Accords could be like a halfway point, um, to where he could still be like in the help people, but be detached enough so that he could be with Pepper, and also having them work for the government wasn't that bad. It was just the way that they were wording it, and Tony was not in the most proper mindset to be looking at the fine details.
Yeah. And
so,
even.
go
Oh,
ahead,
sorry.
Kyle. Go ahead, Kyle.
But I'll say even Steve says with the Accords, this document just shifts the blame. It's I really love that argument. I haven't seen the movie since it came out opening weekend, but there's a lot of great stuff here. Like especially with Tony, where he just wants to fix everything. He's a futurist. He's trying to envision the future, and that's why his first scene we get with him is trying to. I think he's at a college. He's like,
Yeah, that is, the MIT.
yeah, I believe, and he like says, "I'll fund everything. I'll fund everything. Don't worry about money." He's trying to fix the present and help move forward into the future in a great way. And that's what Tony's trying to do here with the Avengers as well. And he even says, after Age of Ultron, Pepper and I had this thing. She just left me, and also I wanted to keep going. She wanted me to stop. I wanted to keep going and going and going. That's what he's doing in this movie, just trying to fix his mistakes. And what happens here in the Avengers is what this movie is kind of his mistake a little bit, because what happened in Sokovia is kind of right. The tensions have risen. I don't think this would have happened if you didn't have Age of Ultron. I think they would have just chalked it up to yeah, it just happened. But yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, Age of Ultron was they kind of they put most of the weight of this whole situation on Age of Ultron, definitely.
It's kind of interesting because I mean, when I first watched Age of Ultron, I thought it was good, but I had some problems with it. But after watching Civil War, I really appreciated Age of Ultron. Like it really kind of reinforced the importance of both Age of Ultron and Iron Man 3. Like, as much as people shit on Iron Man 3, this really brought up a lot of the stuff for Tony's character that was really important to him, like wanting to stop being Iron Man and like how important it was for him to destroy his suit Pepper, how much Pepper meant to him.
Also, Jay, your mic, something's going on with it. There's like static or.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
We were the,
If you just get over the whole Mandarin thing, Iron Man 3 is actually not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
I-
bad.
so moving on, guys, we're gonna move on to the two newest members, and we're gonna talk about each one of them.
All
We
right.
were introduced to the two newest. Well, we were reintroduced to another version of the character, but we were introduced to a new character that really had a big importance because he was kind of like the third wheel, big time in this.
Oh yeah.
And that's
It
T'Chaka.
was definitely a driving force for the movie.
T'Chaka, aka the Black Panther.
T'Challa.
What did I say? T'Chaka? I said
Yeah.
T'Challa. T'Challa, excuse me. Well, yeah. Well, the thing about T'Challa and his Chasmin Boseman plays him, and the first time he spoke, I literally turned to Malcolm and was like, ooh, like he nearly had me just the way he spoke.
Definitely. The way he carried himself is amazing.
The way he carried himself, another one was definitely, and the when they showed King T'Chaka, and I was just like, okay, there's T'Chaka. But then it also started thinking, okay, did the Black Panther man, because he said the Black Panther man went to everybody, every king, and I'm just like, okay, when was T'Chaka Black Panther?
No, see, the way he said it is that the Black Panther is a mantle for warriors. So I think T'Challa participated in the arena fight to claim the mantle of Black Panther. But T'Chaka,
I was looking at T'Chaka, I'm like, when was he Panther? Like, I gotta tell me when he was Panther. But the way they did him, I did like how they did the royal family. Like they really blended more of like that, kind of how the royal family is now.
The Major was great. I mean,
Yeah.
just the one that we saw.
Yeah, the one but the thing about Boseman as T'Challa, not just the way he carried himself, but the way he interacted with the other Avengers really made me officially was like, okay.
He has two of the best lines in the entire movie. One of them being, I'm sorry, T'Challa. Don't worry about it. The task force. Will take care of it. We'll find Barnes. He says, "Do not bother me. I'll kill him myself." I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, stuff like that. He really carried himself, and when you saw him in costume, it was just like, that's a wrap. It's legit. It's legit right there. It's just the way he came off when he went after Bucky the first time, and it was just like
when he first appeared on that rooftop, I'm not even gonna lie, I just a little bit.
And then he pulled that little Bruce Lee. I was like, oh man, like he just shink, and I love his claws extended. I was like, oh, look at the claws, shink, and he came out, and just the way he fought, I liked the fighting that they used for him, and I loved how he didn't hate Steve. He was just like, move, Captain, please. Like this is not your fight. Like just don't get in my way. And it's more like Steve, like, look, I can't do that.
I love when they're in the car and he's like, how long do you honestly think you can keep your friend from me? I'm like, oh man.
And there was just scenes with him that just made you just really more like, now I cannot wait to see his fight. And that's why I think they were right.
And also, he was the first one to really realize, no, this isn't the right way. He's like, vengeance consumed you, vengeance consumed the rest of them, but I won't let it consume me. And I love when Zemo tries to kill himself, and he goes, no, the living aren't done with you yet.
Yeah,
that was perfect.
In the movie as well. That's his kind of character arc throughout the entire film. And is it okay, Chris, if I go after you, or were you done?
No, go.
Okay. First off, Jeremy, your mic's still doing that thing. I'm just saying it for the audience. I don't want to. It's like.
Yeah, it's heavy static, and you're a little muffled.
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know. But you're fine. But with Black Panther, oh my god. I just from the first trailer we got of Civil War, I knew he was going to be amazing. In the film, T'Challa is so unique to the MCU. Just how he moves, the performance from Boseman, how he talks, how they directed him in action scenes is completely unique to anyone else, to everyone actually. He's not a ripoff of Cap or Spider-Man. He has a unique fighting style. How he runs is completely is unique. He, whenever he's in like scenes, his presence commands your attention. And oh my God, he was amazing. It's hard not to just like keep saying that because he was just wonderful. The voice was great. It reminded me of Earth Mightiest Heroes, but not as deep as that one. And what was the other thing I wanted to say? I have to say, I'm really glad that the hype was earned for this because Iron Man 2, when they hyped up Black Widow, that was not earned at all. They just said, hey, this is just Black Widow. We'll pretend like she matters because it's a comic book character, right? You guys know and you want to see her. Same thing with Wonder Woman. They hyped her up, and she kind of just was nothing in the movie as a character. No, I'm saying that as an action scene, she's fine, she's cool, but as a character, she's not. T'Challa, and that's the same thing with Black Widow. I'm not trying to say that about first.
You're right.
T'Challa is a character. The movie, the Russo brothers did a good job of saying, here's this for the comic book fans, but also giving a reason for general audience members to care about Black Panther. We have to remember these are for general audience members as well, which I would really like to see someone that just doesn't know anything about Black Panther, and when they saw that first trailer, like, who the hell is that guy? Like, he looks like a Power Ranger, someone I think said. But yeah, he was wonderful. I heard an interview with the Russo brothers that they worked the hardest on getting him right, and it showed. So yeah, and I loved him. He has a great character arc throughout the movie, and I have to say this is the best film at juggling 1,000 things and not feeling like a Spider-Man 3 or an X-Men 3. It's wonderful. So yeah, and he's just amazing, as I've said like 40,000 times. So yeah, I'm done.
As someone who's not too familiar with Black Panther, I've only seen two versions of Black Panther. I've seen a Black Panther in the old Fantastic Four cartoon and an Earth Mightiest Heroes. So I don't have a good frame of reference for Black Panther. I like Black Panther. I'm hyped for Black Panther's movie. And honestly, what really got me hyped for the movie was actually that last shot of actually seeing a little bit of Wakanda. Yeah. Where you get the sense that, like, yo, this is going to be, like, an awesome, like, setting. Like, so, but Black Panther overall, like, I think it was, all right, not to jump the gun, but you could argue that, yes, Spider-Man, though the execution was perfect, was shooting just to have him in the movie. No, Black Panther is a part of the actual story. Technically, had not the whole thing at the meeting with the killing of his father happened, the quote-unquote Civil War would not have happened because that was the catalyst for the whole conflict to start going.
Oh, yeah.
Because, it was all talk. Like, with the Accords, it was all talk. But there was no reason to, like, all right, that brought Bucky out of hiding or brought Bucky into the limelight, which made Cap have to act, even though he wasn't supposed to because he didn't sign the Accords. So therefore, had that not happened, there probably would have been no fighting.
Mm-hmm. Like the Avengers would still be together.
And then his character arc going into it too, Cap having to save Bucky from Black Panther and everything. Black Panther was an intricate part of the story, which was extremely smart and a good way to introduce him to the MCU. Because you get enough of him to where, all right, you can understand, like, all right, he's introduced, but at the same time, yes, you do need a solo film for him. But you also get the sense, too, he can support a solo film. So it was perfect execution, and I like Black Panther. That's all I'm saying. I like Black Panther.
That's what they were saying was that why, he's very important to not just this movie, but to the MCU in general.
Right.
That made it very important for him not to to get him right. And to hear that the Russo brothers worked so hard on him in general just showed you the legitimacy that they had for this character's legacy. It's like, okay, yeah, we got to make sure he's portrayed right and not just just a random character Marvel character we throw in just to say, here's a new character in the movie, like Kyle just said, and it makes sense because, yeah, when you think about it, you go back to Iron Man 2, yeah, Widow, to me, I just felt like she's just thrown in here. Why? And until the first Avengers, that was really when I felt that, yes, now Widow is legit. I get that now. But with T'Challa, he stamped his approval right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm here. You better get used to me because I'm going to be around for 6 more movies. I think it's 6 more movies he's got a contract for. So, bam.
Wow.
And also, I appreciate this wasn't like the Ultimates 2 movie, which was basically just Black Panther and the Avengers, because that's what that film is. Like Ricky's talking about, there's a lot of scenes with that character, and he's a big part of this. But I did appreciate it wasn't like that film, because that, you gotta admit, that was just basically Black Panther the movie with the Avengers.
Yeah.
It really, as much as I love Black Panther,
the Avengers cartoons that came out, the animated movies.
Yeah, that's what it's talking about.
The Ultimate
Isn't the second
Avengers.
one take place in Wakanda though?
Yeah.
Doesn't the second one take place? I haven't seen it for so long.
Yeah.
It was weird.
That was the one where he was morphing into a panther and stuff. I didn't like that.
That one was kind of weird.
And also, Ricky, you don't really. I remember.
Oh, go ahead, Carl.
I was about to say, because Ricky, you said you don't really have a good reference for Black Panther. You said besides the old Fantastic Four cartoon and Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Earth's Mightiest Heroes is the perfect It's a perfect adaptation of that character. Yeah, it's late, so I. But it's the perfect adaptation of that character. So it's like if you just watch that show.
I liked him too. Yeah. So I'm like I said, I look forward to what they're going to do with him. Like I'm curious, because I hear some things that he does have mystical abilities, which is ironic because they are going to start. Obviously, Doctor Strange is going to bring a lot more mysticism to the MCU. But then, of course, I heard that also that suit actually can do a lot of crap because it's made of vibranium.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like he actually. It's not necessarily like an Iron Man suit, but at the same time, it can match an Iron Man suit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's very intelligent.
Also, best part with Black Panther. Hi, I'm Clinton. I don't care. It's like
yeah. Just to.
Go ahead.
No. The first hype moment was this his secretary move or I'll move you. I'm like, you're talking to Black Widow, girl. You like
that's not his secretary right there. What you don't know, okay. Every Black Panther, the Black Panther legacy, they have bodyguards. The bodyguards are known as Dora Milaje.
Yeah, no,
women.
Sorry about that.
Women, and they are fierce. That was just one we saw. It's like a group of them.
Yeah,
that woman came up and said, "Move or I'll move you." I knew exactly who that was. He was thinking that was Shuri, his sister. Man, that wasn't Shuri. That was one of his bodyguards. And I was just like, ooh. And instantly people started wondering who that woman was. That was going all over the web. Like, who is that woman? Who's the woman that literally almost put fear in Widow? Because she did it right.
He was this movie's traitor trooper. But yeah.
Go ahead, Bryan.
Just put in my 2 cents with the whole Panther thing is honestly don't have too much knowledge more than Ricky. Maybe you comment here and there, but never really focused on him. But I gotta say, I loved him in this movie. Like Kyle said, he had his own fighting style, his own movements. It was still fitting with the character and very Panther-like. But it was also unique to anything that we've ever seen before. And one of the big moments where it really showed like how unique he was that quick hand-to-hand fight with Bozeman not in the suit against Bucky. And
Yep.
going at hand-to-hand. And he was keeping up with Bucky for the most part.
I think one of the biggest things that I want to see is when they go to Wakanda for the Black Panther movie is the necropolis. Because I want to know if they're going to go King of the Dead route. Because, man.
And then the Illuminati will be hiding down there. Like, we'll have Iron Man there, like, hello. And then we'll have, like, Black Bolt.
Yes.
Yeah, but the other thing I want to know is will they showcase, especially in his movie, is how is he able to do that stuff? Like him running faster than Steve. Like, will they go with the heart-shaped herb?
The heart-shaped fruit.
You know,
They have to.
the herb,
They either have to go with that.
like that, because we don't know how he's able to do all that stuff. Besides,
I also want to see the yearly tournament because everyone can challenge the Black Panther for the right to wear the cowl. So I want to see Ryan Coogler do an arena matchup with T'Challa just kicking ass. Like, oh my God.
So that's definitely the one route to go with him. Just seeing where, and I think a lot of that stuff's gonna be brought up in his movies. Like, you're gonna see all that stuff, like where his abilities come from and why he's this good and things like that. Because you don't just get good like that and just because the way they kind of made it was like he just put on a suit and now he's just good. You know this.
No.
Out of the
in
suit.
This movie, in this movie, we saw Steve barehanded bring a helicopter down. And then later on, we see.
I swear they put CGI to make his biceps look bigger.
I was like, Steve. But no, but then we have Black Panther overpowering him and bringing his shield down. Like, no, you're not
I saw a funny quote from Chris Evans saying that he actually wanted to do that scene shirtless, but but the Russos said that it was too much.
And one other thing. Sorry.
The fangirls wouldn't be able to take it, man. They would have. The theaters would have been just wet.
It's just one other thing about
the fangirls would have. It would have been too much, man. It would have been too much.
One other thing about
it would have been terrible.
T'Challa, which is shown, but it's kind of low-key understated, is the fact that he is so smart. Because there were a couple times where it was just him and his knowledge and all. He was able to find Bucky.
What I thought was funny is that Steve and Bucky escaped on a Quinjet, and I'm like, you dumbasses! You know Quinjets are made in Wakanda. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, but also the fact alone of his intellect is also shown in the fact that his intellect in the end went over his heart, and he realized that hatred is not the way, and hatred is what's going on. And and once he was able to beat that, he not only didn't kill Zemo, but he didn't allow Zemo to kill himself.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like that. Too. His name is taking that easy route out. I was just like,
I was waiting for that moment in that bunker where he was giving that speech, and then after he revealed the death of the Starks, I was waiting for Zemo to have the moment where he stops and he goes, "Well, what do you think, Captain?" And he takes the mask off, and Red Skull.
What? We've all said. I think we've said that about two Captain America.
That is honestly the biggest mistake in the entire MCU is killing off the Red Skull.
I don't necessarily think he's killed off. That's some of the mysteries of the MCU that I have a problem with. But he's one of them. But then with T'Challa came the newest Spider-Man. Young Mr. Holland comes along.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of mystery though, but slightly off topic, I heard that in the MCU, technically, the Abomination is not dead.
He's not dead.
No, he's in a shield prison.
He's in
He's in a
prison.
shield prison in the Arctic.
Yeah, I was like, wait, because I still remember Hulk snapping his neck. But
No, he
there's
doesn't.
something not.
Betty tells him not to.
He choked him out with the chain, and then you heard Betty saying, "Don't do it," and he didn't. But he's like stepped on his chest or something. Like, yeah, he's down, but he's alive. They acknowledge that.
I was like, oh shit. Maybe I wonder if they'll ever use him again. Because I mean, they can't make it. I found out too. They can't make any Hulk movies.
Yeah,
Because,
Universal.
Universal Studios still has the rights to it.
It's some weird.
It's a weird thing.
Weird kind of gray territory with the contracts for the Hulk.
It really upsets me because I think Hulk is like the most underrated MCU movie.
But to me, I think Hulk works best in an ensemble than with a solo because there's only so much you can do with Hulk's kind of motivation.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. I totally agree with that. Actually, yeah, I can see that.
In a recent interview,
the way I look at it is with Hulk, if they would have let Hulk be not Hulk, but let him be like intelligent Hulk. That
Earth Heroes Hulk.
Yeah, then it could go somewhere. But they've showcased like, okay, Blonsky's alive, okay, and that's why I've been thinking like with Zemo alive now. Why I'm thinking like they may be gonna build up the Masters of Evil. I'm like, could they be building up the Masters of Evil because you already got 2 characters now, you know.
I think they're introducing Enchantress in Ragnarok too.
No, she's not in the film.
No?
No.
Oh yeah, because
Kate like the main villain or something.
Kate Blanchett's playing playing Hela, and Tessa Thompson is playing Broomhild, so she's Valkyrie.
But Carl Urban is playing Scourge.
Without Enchantress though, that's weird. It's really weird.
I never understood why they never used Enchantress for the Thor movies.
Because the Thor movies don't know what to do.
Enchantress was cool. Enchantress was cool as hell in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. She was like one of my favorite villains.
Right.
I still think Julia Benz could play Enchantress so much.
Sorry, Pete. I gotta tell it like it is.
But yeah, we need to get back to Spidey.
Thwip.
All right. So we got young Mr. Holland who comes in, who's reintroduced into the MCU. Basically, as we said, Spidey has come home, and we get to see him interact with his other fellow Marvel heroes that most of us all wanted to see him interact with.
He also has an accent, which I really appreciate as a fellow New Yorker.
When we heard that, I'll say this, speaking for myself, when they said that Peter was going to be younger and he's going back to his roots.
Going back to high school.
Yeah, going back to high school. I was like, not again. But then I started realizing, like, they did not really spend high school time in any of the previous 5 movies. It was like, he was in his last year, he graduates, that's it. So I was like, okay. And then when you see this movie, they changed a lot of stuff. For example, Peter and Aunt May, they don't live in a house in Queens. They live in a co-op in Queens.
And that's actually, they actually kind of explain that because at least, like I said, remember how I was talking about the Reddit leak with the homecoming plot, or some of the homecoming plot points?
Mm-hmm.
They explained that after Ben died, you know, they couldn't afford the house, so they sold the house so they have to live in an apartment.
Yeah, I didn't mind that he was in an apartment. I know there was some people that just flipping out over that, like, oh, he's in an apartment, oh, what the hell, like.
He's always been poor, though. Like, that's why I like seeing him in this danky small apartment.
Also, the Russos, they've said, like, there were interviews, and they said that if you look at the production design of the apartment, there are a lot of boxes and disjunct stuff like they just moved in. Because they did just move in because they had to go from a 3-person to a 2-person.
But the thing about it was seeing him interact with Steve and Tony was really cool, and seeing that, yeah, he is very intelligent, not like, oh, he's just a kid.
Reminded me a lot of the Ultimate Comics.
Yeah,
How
a lot of
how some of you-
Ultimate Peter. You know that he's a tinkerer. He takes junk and he tinks around with it, and but he's also very smart. And he also, it was also announced that he's already been Spider-Man for what, 6 months already?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was already, and you saw like footage. Tony was showing footage like, you're this guy, right? And I'll admit the first costume look, what they remember all those, remember like costume designs they were talking about. Like I guess it was legit. Those
Yeah.
were, and
I mean, at least they didn't do Incredible Bagman.
yeah,
I
I wanted that so bad. I wanted him to
in the
wear a
movies.
fantastic.
I'm probably gonna get shit for you guys for this, but my favorite Spider-Man costume in the movies before this was actually the Andrew Garfield costume. That's actually my favorite.
which one?
The second one or the basketball looking one?
The one in the first movie. The one in
The basketball looking one?
Oh, the one with the sneakers, the cleats. I mean,
I didn't mind that one.
I didn't mind that at all.
I
just
I actually
I just don't like the first one. I don't like the first one at all. The second one I'm okay with.
I just because like all right, but this hit me in the right place because I actually do love Spider-Man. I actually really do love Spider-Man. Like it's probably like my favorite superhero. Like I love Spider-Man, but like Spider-Man's been like on the down low for so long. And the Amazing Spider-Man films, although I enjoyed them for what they were, and I think Andrew Garfield was a really good Spider-Man.
Right.
Yeah.
And it upsets me that a lot of people blame him for the downfall of those movies when he was the best thing about those movies. Seeing this though, and seeing this kid come in and just own it, oh my god, it was like my favorite part of the movie.
The thing about Andrew is, like, I loved his Spider-Man. He wasn't Peter Parker. Because his Peter Parker was just so
Yeah,
smooth.
I can understand that
I did
argument.
not understand. Like,
I totally see, and
he could come off
seeing
as a
how
dork.
Tom was, I can understand the argument. I always kind of justified it in my head that they wrote him as like the quote unquote modern day nerd or geek or kind of thing. Kind of
Yeah.
sort of.
Was back then. It's so I mean that's how Andrew was in that movie was pretty much how he was back in the day, really early Stanley Steve Ditko stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean,
And the thing about with this version of, you could see that young Holland, he took inspirations from both
Yeah.
previous Spider-Man. He took from Andrew, but then he put his own twist to it, and it worked. It worked
One
so
of my
well.
favorite parts of the Spider-Man scene in Queens is when he's talking about why he became a superhero, and he could have just as easily said the whole with
Yeah,
great
I
power
thought he
comes great
was going to
responsibility.
say that. I thought he was going to say that,
But he didn't do it, and I appreciate
I'm really
it.
glad. I'm really glad he
Like said
did.
in the older
Yeah.
movies, like 27 times, like
Oh,
an
yeah.
hour.
Mm.
Every second.
Oh yeah, every movie.
Every chance they got, they did that shit like at least every other scene.
God, yeah, it was like with
Yeah.
great power, great responsibility. Every 25 minutes, I get it.
I think also is that I was glad they kept the web shooters. You know, I was just like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you got it. I was like, yeah, thank you. Yeah, like
I knew they
because
were
I
going to keep
thought Tony was just like, he's like, how did you make this? This stuff is really strong. Like, and he's like, what did you do with it? Does it come out of you? He's like, no, I made it. I was just like, there's the Peter. I was like, he just had that
Yeah.
Peter that
Right?
I
Yeah.
for.
It
He was
felt
just
so good. It's like it worked. It really worked for me. And like the way that they did it too, and obviously, I think the writers will obviously feel the need, like everyone else does, to do like to show the flashback. Granted, I think it will be in flashback though, which is I'm okay with. I really actually hope they take the Batman vs Superman route and actually just make it part of like the opening credits.
yeah.
I would be cool with that.
Similar to the opening of Spider-Man 2, the first Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
How it was like the opening credits was like a comic rehash of the first
The
movie.
Alex Ross cover. Yeah, the Alex Ross.
Yeah, do something like that. That would be really cool if they did that.
I think the thing is that Marvel and Feige has said we're not going to do the origin because I think for most of us, and even in general, Spidey's origin is so embedded in people's
Right,
head.
right,
Like,
right.
oh,
It's like
uh,
Batman and Superman. Like if
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
to see Uncle Ben get shot one more time, I'm gonna just.
I don't need to see that, but in flashback,
Lame.
maybe like a pinnacle point, like okay, but just him saying like it was an accident. He talked about it, and Tony,
And he
just
got
and then the fact, yeah,
That's what I.
gets choked up. It was great. And seeing Tony interact with Aunt May, Marissa, or May, it was
I've
great.
actually heard people are like thrown off that she's so young. I've actually read that actually technically the first movies actually got her age wrong. And that
Well,
she's
she was
actually
like
not that
1,000 in the comics. She's like a
No,
1,000 in the comics.
it's weird because like she's always looked super old, like ancient, like
Like
Aunt May.
in the
I'm surprised.
she looked like she should be Peter's grandmother. Like I've never really had an aunt that was that old.
Aunt May in the comics looks like she was born back during the age of the dinosaurs.
like
just
the way they say it is like she's around. Ben and her were born around maybe the 1930s.
It's weird though because Uncle Ben. Whenever you see Uncle Ben doesn't look ancient like Aunt
He
May
doesn't
does.
look that old, but with this, when they said Marissa Tomei was going to be Aunt May, I instantly started saying there's going to be major jokes coming out of this one.
Yeah.
And it should be.
The first thing I said when I
May.
heard that, I'm like, the first thing I said to both you and Kyle was, Tony's gonna try and hit that.
Yeah, like
All right, think about this too. I will say this though. This Peter is younger than I think any other Peter we've had before.
yeah,
Yeah.
they brought him back to the roots, his roots.
Right.
Peter
Like,
started
I'm thinking,
being
like, all right,
Spider-Man.
even in that in the '90s cartoon, Aunt May looked old as fuck in the cartoon too, but Peter was an adult in the beginning of the cartoon.
in the Fox Spider-Man.
Yeah, and the Fox one.
They said that he was 19 years old in that one. I was just like,
Right.
okay, that's a big 19. And
Huge 19-year-old.
and then in
Hey man, that spider bite, man. That spider bite.
yeah, he was younger, but in this they brought him back to the roots. Marvel wanted to bring him back to the roots of him being 16 years old when he started. So he's basically the way Marvel's always did it from the Stan Lee Ditko run is like he's the younger hero looking through the eyes of these older heroes, and he's following from that view. And
And
they
it's
got
cool because instead of his first encounter being with the FF, his first hero encounter is with the Avengers.
yeah.
Yeah.
I swear that I thought it would have. I swear if he'd have said, I want you to join us, and if he said, okay, Mr. Stark, how much does it pay? I would have instantly like that's classic Peter right there because that was.
I think we got a little bit of that when he was like, "So this grant, is there money involved?"
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Say something like that.
Yeah.
But is it okay if I say a couple things about Spider-Man since I haven't gotten much to say? Or
Go ahead.
okay. So I'm not sure if you guys feel this way, but with Spider-Man, I think this might be the last time I'll ever get giddy seeing characters interact on screen together because with the Marvel Cinematic Universe being so far in now, it's only been 8 years, but it feels like much longer, and everyone else trying to
Catch up.
copy them. Say what?
I was about to say catch up. I said catch up.
Yeah, and more or less just having all their characters interact. It's kind of like the novelty is very much worn off. I feel like this might be the last time. I was seeing Spider-Man interacting with Captain America. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is just like the comics. This feels great. And I was so in love. And then with it, and when Bucky tries to punch him, Spider-Man grabs his arm and says, "You have a metal arm? That is awesome."
dude.
I love that.
Oh my
That was great.
And this Spider-Man, I know I mentioned this writer a lot, but I feel like he is this way. He reminded me of Bendis' Spider-Man from the Avengers and Ultimate Spider-Man because
Definitely
when Spider-Man joined the Avengers, Spider-Man's main thing is just being the jokey character. He's very much the jokester of the team. And in Bendis' Ultimate Spider-Man run, he is hilarious. Like, he's fighting the Kingpin, and he's cracking jokes, and he's it's the funniest thing ever. But yeah, there's just so many things with this character I love, and he has so much potential moving forward.
I don't.
Yeah, and
Probably the thing that I love the most about him is that his motor mouth.
Yeah,
He would-
that was the thing that caught me, is that he was cracking the jokes. That was something that I've always said about Spider-Man, is like, yo, where's the jokes? Where's that motor mouth of his? Like, he gets his opponents off their game. Like, would you shut up? Like, and that's how, just like, I always felt that Peter was a great tactician when it came to fighting his opponent. You run your mouth a lot, that gets people like, oh, would you shut up? And just seeing him interact with all the heroes and all the other
I love Sam's reaction was my favorite.
like,
Like,
dude,
you've never been in a fight before, have you? There's not normally that much time.
yeah, and also the have you seen that old movie?
yeah, it's like,
The Star Wars. Even though like a friend of mine killed that joke for me because he overthought it. It was like, wait a minute, The Force Awakens just came out. Why would he act like? Shut up. But no, yeah.
the fact
30-year-old film, so.
But the fact is that for me, I don't know. I think the next, if we start seeing, you say, Kyle, that this would probably be the big, like, for you in terms of interaction. I'll say this much. I see Tony interact with Doctor Strange, I'm gonna flip out.
Nah, man. You want to know a Spider-Man interaction that'll make me flip out. Tom Holland and Vincent D'Onofrio. Just have that scene from Ultimate Spider-Man where he comes into the Kingpin's house, starts talking shit, and Fisk is just eating his dinner. He's like, "Look, kid, I can find out where your school is, where your family lives, and I'll destroy everything you care about, and you'll be the only one that knew it was me."
I just want to see Iron Man.
The thing about, like, all right, that's rumored to happen right now, but I kind of all right, I'll say this: I don't want Spider-Man to go dark, to where with that said, I don't think the way they wrote into Kingpin, the way they set his character up, I don't think Kingpin will work as an intricate part of Spider-Man movie franchise.
Well, I mean,
I don't want it to go uber dark.
I'm finding him going dark in his adult years, because there was a story that me and Chris loved called Back in Black, and that was not. And he beat the shit out.
Oh, when he beat the living crap out of Kingpin because he sent people to shoot to get an Aunt May got shot. Oh yeah, I love that story.
I think is
that story. Like, but I mean, the thing about it is like, it's the problem I have in terms of like people saying, oh, when are they going to interact with the other? And kind of a friend of ours actually brought it up, is like, yeah, it's like, why shouldn't they interact? Yeah, some of the stuff they do is dark, but it's just like, then why you set them in the MCU, period? Like, they keep them
I think especially the Defenders should interact with Spidey.
Yeah,
like,
it's more Marvel
because a lot of them are really close friends. I would have loved it if Jessica was actually actually also went to Midtown High for a little bit. Maybe obviously they can't pull the crush thing because she's obviously way older than him.
Yeah.
But maybe she actually went to the same school as him still. And it's like, oh, you went to Midtown too, type of thing.
I mean, go ahead.
I just want to give my 2 cents in about Spidey. But also, just really quickly before I do, I just thought of this. What if they flip that around and say Jessica was an older kid that young Pete had a crush on?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, but
Jessica 30.
My thought is.
Oh yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, that wouldn't actually fit.
You have to drop. She doesn't like.
I mean, she could have went to school. She could have went to school with Aunt May.
I don't know, but anyway, getting back to what I was saying about Peter in this movie, as a big Spidey fan, like, he's my favorite hero, has been, Um, I loved him in this movie. Um, and see, the thing is above all, I liked the other Spideys, but this one really put in the fact that he was a true blue nerd. Like, he was a fanboy, but also he was really smart. And one of the low-key moments was right before Sam says, you don't really do this thing, do you? Too much, do you? It's the fact that Peter, like, goes in, he's like, wow, that's such and such technology, talking about his wings and all. And he's like, he knows his crap, and he's super smart. And that was really cool to see, plus all the jokes here and there. And
Holy shit!
yeah, I loved it.
Holy
loved
shit,
it. And
that was great. That was my favorite part. I never would have expected to hear Spider-Man say "holy shit" in the movie, but when he did, that was.
But yeah,
so it makes sense.
It was very fitting, and it was very fun to see him, but also Tom Holland actually brought the seriousness that you get choked up when you hear him talking about Uncle Ben, but not really talking about Uncle Ben.
Yep.
And also, it's just, he was really cool, and I know a lot of people said that they had a problem, that they thought he was too young. I didn't think so, because he's supposed to be a kid, and we haven't yet to see young heroes in the Marvel Universe. Like, within this whole universe, we have yet to see, like,
And you know,
young heroes.
More young heroes could lead to young Avengers.
Yes, I know, and I even posed to you, like, a completely new version that's like the Ultimate. But,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's just the problem with Bryan, you know. That's with having 30-year-old actors playing a teenage Peter Parker. People will get used to it, I think, with him being too young. So.
Yeah.
Well, just look at Glee and High School Musical. Those kids were not teenagers, but
Yeah. Honestly, like I just want to see either Gwen or MJ. Like I need one of them show up, and like I will be like my fanboy dreams will be complete.
dude,
You know what would be great? Oh, sorry.
What? Go for it, Kyle.
With Bryan was saying like how he's a fanboy. Could you imagine if we introduced Kamala Khan and this Miss Marvel?
Oh man, they would probably be in the superhero fan club together, or like they moderate the same forum.
I would just love Kamala to be there, like at the Spider-Man fan club with Flash, and like Peter's like, hi, like, what are you doing? I love Spider-Man. Like that'd be great. Like
that would be amazing. Oh my God, yeah.
You can't have that rapport with Miles anymore because Miles will probably be introduced later. Kamala's really popular.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind them bringing Kamala right now, especially once they bring in Carol, Kamala should be brought in.
Yeah.
Well, there are rumors that she'll be brought in on like Freeform or ABC.
But they don't ever connect.
Movies,
but they
though.
don't ever connect
I
TV
know.
to the movies, though. So I don't want her on TV.
Even Daisy herself, Chloe, has even brought it up and said that they don't connect it. So even when the stars start commenting on it, it's bad. And also, really quick, Kyle, you said that you don't think that there's going to be any more Giddy. You're not going to get any more Giddy. Now if they bring in a certain other Spider character, you're going to get Giddy.
Kyle's not going to get Giddy. There's another reaction that's going to happen with Kyle, and we don't need to worry about that.
No, I mean more just interacting of characters. It's just this was the last time I'll ever be like, oh my God, characters are interacting on the screen.
I know.
It was just he's a new character, and it was exciting to see him. It wasn't, oh my God, he's interacting with Captain America. It was, oh my God, it's this.
I'm gonna get Giddy.
I was just trying to be funny.
I'm gonna be Giddy.
It was funny.
I'm gonna be Giddy the second that Wanda steps into that Sanctum Sanctorum, and it's like, and she, and asks Strange for help. Man, I am so down for that.
Okay,
Waiting for her to actually learn chaos magic. I want her to
speaking
learn chaos
speaking of
magic.
amazing, how amazing was it to see Ant-Man go Giant Man?
Oh my
yeah.
god! Oh my god! When he said that, when he was like, I'm gonna try something, but I've only done it once in a lab, and I passed out. I was like, he's not gonna do it. He's not gonna do it. Oh fuck, he did it.
I actually had a problem with that. Kind of. I had a minor problem with Giant Man. He looked like a plush doll personally, when he was like the CGI. Like he looked like a plush doll. So I'm like,
I also love the sound effect he made when he grew. He was like, oh, like what? That was hilarious.
also, I hate
uh,
Ant-Man. So I hate his helmet in this movie. Especially when it opens, it looks like a.
I just don't like his new helmet.
And also,
I don't like the how it opens. It looks like a vagina. Personally, to me, I don't know why. I'm sorry. I have to say. I know it's crass, but
That's hilarious.
if we're talking about negatives, just really quickly, I know this is not with the film itself, but
orange slices.
the trailers that they're playing now to get you to go see the movie again, or to get the people who haven't seen it yet, they spoil Giant Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, like everything with Scott was another big fanboy too. I mean,
The freaking arrow moment. I got this arrow guy. I'm good.
the scene with him and oh, what time zone are we in? And then oh God, you're Captain America. Oh, I'm shaking your hand.
Oh man. No,
And
his man crush moment where he feels on Cap's arms. He's like, Jesus.
and then he looks back at Wanda and
It was still my favorite part was where he's like, I think this belongs to you, Captain America. I was just like,
I love the part where he's geeking out over Captain America. He's like, oh my God, you're Captain America. Oh, I know you too. You're awesome.
You're awesome.
yeah,
And he sees
yeah.
hey man, look, I just want to apologize. Hey, Tic Tac, like it was another. It won't happen again. And I remember literally saying to him, "Come on, Sam, you got beat fair and square. He beat you. You probably can do it again."
and if we're talking about Ant-Man, of course we got,
Sam is mad salty this entire movie.
yeah, and if we're talking about Ant-Man, we got to talk about that tag team move.
Yeah, we just said the arrow, which was great. That was a great scene, and him getting inside Tony's suit, and then he's like,
This is just full of combo moves, and this is like Clint is the source point of all combo moves. He has a combo move with Wanda. He has a combo move against the Vision. He has a combo move with Ant-Man. He has combo moves with Cap.
I like what he said. Who's that speaking? Who's saying that? It's your conscious speaking. We haven't talked in a while. I love when he said, all right, Steve, throw this, and he throws the truck, and then he's like, oh my God,
shit.
I thought that was
the water truck.
Brody. Now I'm pissed.
Oh, hell no.
Also, can we talk about Rhodey being paralyzed?
Yeah, we're gonna. I'm
For a little
definitely.
bit.
I like that because it would have been too easy to kill somebody. Like at first, when I first talked to Kyle about it, when I only watched it one time.
We were gonna get to that. I was gonna just hold on for that one.
Oh my bad.
Besides that, and about Ant-Man, the one thing also on the dynamic scenes with Sam and Bucky, classic.
Sam and Bucky. Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, if it does happen, if Sebastian Stan becomes Cap, which I really don't want, but if it happens, please have him and Sam together some more, because those were funny. Like, I love where he's where the whole scene that we saw at the end of Ant-Man, where it's like, Buck, you know who I am, and he said, yeah, your mom, and he's like, is this Bucky talking or is this to you? And then he's like, okay, All right, so we just gonna let him go, so that's okay. And,
My favorite scene with Sam and Bucky is when Cap is out there with Sharon,
oh,
and he's
Yep,
and he finally gets some, and you see Sam and Bucky just like, yeah, buddy.
yeah, yeah.
Also,
And
the best.
also,
Brian, you're gonna.
sorry,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say really quickly. Also, the scene right before that. Did you move your chair? No.
And then I think when they're webbed
All right,
up,
I'm back.
Spider.
Yeah,
What? Say what, Ricky?
No, he said he's back.
I was saying I was back. I had to step away for a minute.
Back.
All right. Fine.
Alright, continue.
I also love when Sam and Bucky are webbed up, and I forget what Bucky says, but Sam goes, "I hate you."
Oh, he goes,
You couldn't have done that sooner.
I hate you.
Or he's like, or when
I
they
love
like, what the heck was that? Everybody's got a gimmick.
I'm telling you, Sam was like the saltiest character in this entire movie. He was just like, man, everybody's got a gimmick. Like,
Okay, basically now, yes, Rhodey plays the role of Bill Foster, aka Black Goliath, in this somewhat. And instead of being killed by Ragnarok, the clone of Thor, it's kind of the Vision's fault in a sense, but he fought. I mean, that was a plummet. That was like, oh, he's got to be hurt. He's got to be hurt.
I thought that was cool too, because much like Ragnarok, which was a Tony creation, it was Vision who did it, who was created by Tony. So I thought that was a nice kind of connection there.
And
like what I was saying before, like when I was starting to talk about it, the first time I saw it, I was like, I feel like they should have killed. I feel like he should have died, because it would have like really shown like that this is a war and it showed real casualties. But then when I saw it the second and third time, I was like, you know what? Honestly, killing him would have been too easy, and that would have been just a shock value, like typical route. I think it was a lot more subtle and a lot more well done that they made him paralyzed.
Yeah, and I remember talking to you, and when I think you had just seen it the one time, I said,
Yeah.
I like they didn't kill him off, because it would have been the predictable thing to do. You know, if you're not going to kill him, just do, what can you do that's worse than paralyzing him? And I thought that seems really powerful, and I love that they showed it, like him actually hitting the ground. And I love that Steve tries to catch him. Truly showing that this is just a family. You know, the Avengers are a family. You know, it's not
like even if they're fighting each other, they're still going to be heroes at the end of the day.
Yeah, like
But what's messed up? Like, all right, think about this. If that hit Falcon, that'd have killed him.
Yeah, if it was, I don't know, because the way I look at it is with Falcon is if he loses his wing, he's still got a parachute. He's got a parachute.
All right, look how much damage that blast did to the war machine.
You're talking about when Vision shot.
Well,
yeah, think about how much damage that did. If that hit Falcon, because he has that harness, but that's like, I mean, that's not gonna block. I mean, if harness could damage that suit that bad, that'd kill Falcon.
I thought you were talking about the whole Falcon that fell, because
he would have survived the fall. You're right. He has a parachute and all that stuff.
Parachute.
But if that blast hit him,
Falcon didn't move. Yeah, it probably would have killed. It would have killed him. But just seeing that Vision went there, I was like, come on, Vision! Like, what the hell, man? Like,
also, like the WandaVision ship is very strong in this movie.
Yeah, there are hints of it. I'm like,
the point of the
see, that's the other thing that they just didn't. All right, I understand why they're doing it. All right. My stance is, and I'm thinking, and when you watch an MC movie, there are some movies you have to think about the bigger picture, right? How this is going to affect in the long run. I feel they're doing this ship to make the impact of when because Vision is a walking death flag. When Thanos comes down, he's going to kill Vision. They're doing this to kind of build the impact when he does die, I think. But in terms of this movie, it just did not work for me. Like, that whole ship just didn't work for me.
Really?
And I heard that it's a thing in the comics. I don't know, it just felt awkward and weird.
Don't agree with you. I don't agree with you on that, personally.
I respectfully disagree.
I liked it, and see, the reason why I really got it more in this movie than I ever really did in the comics, because I feel like in the comics the only reason she was in love with Vision is because she was in love with Wonder Man, and Wonder Man was dead. and they use Wonder Man's brain patterns in Vision.
Wonder Man's brain patterns. Yes, yeah.
So I feel like that was fake. Like the whole comic thing, that wasn't real. That wasn't real love for Wanda in the first place. So like I didn't buy it in the comics as much, but in this I bought it because Vision is the only person. Remember what we were talking about earlier? Everybody like is scared of Wanda. They put her in a straitjacket. They put her in a collar. Vision, he just sees her as a woman. You know, he sees her as a person.
I did like the scene in the beginning, their first scene together, where they were talking about like the Infinity Genome, what his connection to it and hers. Because they do share about it. Their powers essentially come from the same thing, more or less. Her powers came from the scepter, which was powered by the mind jet. So they have that connection there, and I get that. It's just some of it, I don't know. Like there are parts of it that I just felt didn't work for me personally. I'm not saying it's bad. I think in the long run it'll be good because again, I think it's building up to something bigger for when the time comes. But I mean, I was on the fence about it. Like that's how my stance on it.
And there's a lot of different possibilities for what Wanda can do if her power really comes from an Infinity Stone. If she gets a hold of the Reality Stone, there's a potential. Like I don't know if this could happen, but maybe like 5-6 years down the line, they could do a House of M story.
So,
my hope is that they actually intersect Wanda with Doctor Strange later down the line, because a friend was telling me that
they've already confirmed that Wanda's going to eventually train with Steven and learn her classic chaos magic.
Yeah, because like, all right, I've always been confused that I thought she's a mutant, but her powers are magical, and I heard they changed it to where originally she was a mutant.
Okay, so her power is probability manipulation, right? Her ability is so that she can manipulate the probability of an event actually occurring. But she uses the chaos magic to channel it so that she can turn that probability into basically energy and constructs, and she casts various different spells because of her family line. She's descended from witches and warlocks and whatnot, especially the female line of the Maximoff family. And so she was naturally drawn to magic in the first place, so she went to Agatha Harkness, learned chaos magic as a means to control her powers. And I think that's a way that Steven's going to help her later on, like when they actually do eventually interact.
Because
Wanda is actually
his magic, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
He uses light magic, I think it's called, or something.
I mean, Steven's magic kind of applies to everything. Like Wanda's is kind of the opposite of his. His is order. She's more chaos, and like the thing about it. Once he trained her, she was a lot more in control, and she was a lot more stable. And that's where she was able to actually be one of the staples in the Avengers again. And she was actually a candidate for Sorcerer Supreme. Went for a little bit. She was in that long list with Brother Voodoo and everybody.
So at the core, she still is quote unquote a mutant, but other things augment her power to make her so strong.
Oh yeah. The magic is just a supplement to control her mutant ability.
Probability.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. That makes a lot. Okay,
her abilities to like mess with probability that's the ground of her mutant power. See, I still call her a mutant. I don't care if they say she's whatever she is now, but she's still a mutant to me. It's just that it kind of is weird in a sense because to me, she will always be Magneto's daughter, and it's just like her powers are different than his. So is Quicksilver. The only one that kind of makes sense is like, okay, is their other sister, Lorna. Polaris is like, yeah, she has the same kind of powers as Daddy, but yeah, Wanda is a combination of a lot of things. It's her mutation, which I still consider, and then you got the magic involved in it. But yeah, seeing her, she probably definitely will. To see her interact with Steven would be really good because she got the hand movements, and I'm just like, that's like very.
Yeah, I like the way they do her hand. Yeah, I like that too.
Like this and
like. Because people I've heard some people at first were upset that they made her powers so like simplistic and it's telekinesis and whatnot when her powers are so more accurate. I like it though. I think it worked. It's hard. I think it'd be really hard to illustrate those powers in a live action movie, like to the whole
Honestly,
probability
they
thing.
can't do a more complex power set until they introduce magic in the first place.
Right, that too.
That's the other thing.
Because
Is,
Also,
her base powers couldn't really do anything for real,
Well,
except
I
for
remember how her
like
powers
change her
worked in
luck.
X-Men Evolution. I'm thinking of her powers working in X-Men Evolution, and yeah, it
That's
was
exactly yeah. That's what her base power is in the first place.
Yeah.
Because at that time she hadn't learned magic.
yeah, you
Yeah.
see, yeah, it wasn't experimentation. It was just probability. Like she was able to just make things happen, like change the probability of like when Scott shot his optic blast and went a different direction.
Right.
That was her main set of power. But when she
yeah.
started learning magic and chaos magic and stuff like that, yeah, then
She
it
says
started
no
going
more.
up to the point where
Because chaos because the whole principle of chaos magic is the random probability of events that happen. So
Yeah.
the fact she masters chaos magic means that she can use that in tandem with her abilities to
And
control it.
and hence that's
Also,
why she was able to create the world of House of M so powerful.
Yeah, the whole reality warp.
Like,
yeah,
And how she was
also,
able to take down the entire wrecking crew single-handedly.
yeah,
Like that's
yeah. Also, you got to keep in mind in the MCU, way back in Age of Ultron, when they were talking about her powers, they openly admitted that they don't know the extent of her powers and what her powers are. Those are just a few labels for things that she can do.
I mean, well, we know she can control people. She can control you.
Well, those were just labels that they put onto the different things that she
No, I'm
doing.
saying, well, we know what she can do so far.
Yeah.
We know she can control people. She did that with the Hulk for a short while. We know she can manipulate just the space of your existence, or we know she can, but we still don't know how far is it going to go. And yeah, that's the key of where I look at it from. It's the beauty of her character development in the next
hmm
films, and so it's like, yeah, we're going to see what this woman can do, and it makes you just wonder, like her interacting with the Mad Titan. How far is that gonna go? It's like,
Oh,
that's also the thing. If she learns magic, and Vision dies, she's probably gonna do what she did for her kids when her kids were taken away,
yeah.
and that's gonna be crazy stuff.
oh,
So
Can you imagine her creating? Oh my God! If she actually uses her magic to create Billy, Billy and Tommy is gonna be crazy.
you're still pushing for the Young Avengers.
I will always.
yeah, you will. All right. So we talked about the fight and talked about okay. I wanted to talk about the end scenes definitely
Oh yeah,
because
in credit.
I think we saw the birth of the Secret Avengers,
Yep.
Mhm.
um, which pretty much was started by Steve. Now in the comic wise, this was a pretty badass Avengers team that he had put together after Dark Reign or so. Now he had himself.
Yeah, Valkyrie, man,
He
that
had
was
Valkyrie on the team, who was a powerhouse. He had Nova there for a while before he went out in space again.
Jim
He had
Hens.
Moon Knight, he had Rhodey, and he had Black Widow, and Sharon was there, like as you know, their eyes and ears. And later on, the team switched. Here in this universe, we have himself. I believe Panther is definitely going to help them.
Yep.
Mhm.
Definitely going to be like to help them because Bucky is now in Wakanda, and that line and Steve being Steve basically said, "Look, I don't want to put you in any kind of trouble, but what if they come? What will you do?" And I love that line that T'Challa says, "Let them come." Like it's like you don't fuck with Wakanda. Like trust me, it's always been
Well, like I was away, but I think that's also part of the reason why he kept Zemo alive, because Zemo technically can exonerate a lot of the damage like done. Like because if Zemo confesses to being his scheme, a lot of the charges could be not could minimize, I guess is the better term.
But the thing
Too.
is, like the thing about it was we saw that the lineup of the Secret Avengers in the MCU version, we saw it's Cap, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, supposedly, and Falcon, and
Wanda.
And Wanda.
Wanda,
Yeah.
right? And then Wanda. So, and we saw that Steve took accountability of his actions. He even tells Tony, "Look, I'm sorry it went down this way. You know, I wish it was another route, but what did he say? He's like, look, if you ever need me, I'll be there. Just give me a
I
call."
wonder if he's gonna wear the Nomad costume.
That was the thing too. Is like, okay, what is Steve? Because remember, he gave the shield back to Tony after Tony's like, "That's not your property. That's my father's," and things like that.
Don't make fun of that line. Come on, man. That was a good line.
I'm not gonna make fun of it, but I still think Steve is Tony. Either T'Challa's gonna make him a new shield because they're in Wakanda, or is somewhere down the line Tony's gonna give it back to him because he realizes like, look, yeah, I was right.
I think Tony, when it comes down and they have to team back up against Thanos, Tony will probably give it back to him. That's what I'm thinking. Because I think
I want that.
just to make a new
That
shield,
would be
it's
that would
only
be
the
a much
symbol.
more that would be a much more powerful scene. It's just like we're like basically we're friends again.
Yeah, I think this belongs to him. I mean, I still think T'Challa's going to give him like some replace. I'm thinking it'd be cool to see him have the energy shield for a while.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, the energy
Just for
shield.
a while. I even think that T'Challa may even help Falcon make his real wings.
Oh, the real wing. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Wait,
he's
his
gonna.
real ones?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
in
because
the
his real
comic
wings are
wise,
made of vibranium and they're Wakandan technology.
yeah, well, in the real comics, Falcon's wings came from T'Challa. T'Challa made it for him.
That's just crazy.
Didn't wait in the MCU though? Didn't Ultron take all the vibranium?
No,
he took a chunk. He took an ore of vibranium to create his body.
And yeah, he didn't take everything because vibranium is
I-
always
All of his drones are not made of vibranium. The only thing made of vibranium.
Yeah, but he used all the
is-
vibranium on that. Originally, it was going to be for Vision's body, but he used the vibranium to elevate that continent.
Wakanda's Wakanda's a big ass country. I don't think he used all of the vibranium.
But even I understand Wakanda's the home of vibranium, but even still, vibranium is still extremely rare, right?
it's
Yeah,
Not in Wakanda.
there are only two places. There are only two places you can get vibranium: the Antarctic and Wakanda. And
Yeah.
Antarctic vibranium neutralizes Wakandan vibranium.
Yeah, it's different, and it's Wakanda. It's in the vibranium in Wakanda is in a mountain that's sacredly guarded, and so you can't really get to it without somebody.
But isn't that Claw guy stealing it all too?
Well, yeah, that's his whole deal. He's a black market vibranium dealer.
Yeah. So what you saw Ultron steal was his source of vibranium. But
Okay, all right.
That was the cut that Claw had. Like that's all that Claw had stored.
Hence why he has that mark that represents a thief. So I was like, okay, I like that. That was pretty cool. But
I just want to bring up something back to the Secret Avengers thing real quick. Is they don't come out and say it, but they do hint that maybe we might also get a version of the Mighty Avengers with Tony and Vision.
I mean, it's coming soon. I could totally see Mighty Avengers happening, and them having a soldier in the team as kind of like a representation to show, yeah, we're good. We're still good with the government. We've got this decorated Air Force pilot.
Or there was this line that somebody talked to me about it. He's like, what if they bring in, though they have, since they can't have Steve Rogers, they do a little bit of the storyline of Captain America No More, where the government took away his, and they brought in somebody else to replace him, and I was like, so you think about John Walker?
Not John Walker. Not John Walker.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, so And then I'm not the only one that started it. I was like, whoa, so people are thinking about
I wanted to see him in the raft, and I wanted to see Steve punch him in the face.
it.
I lightweight as much as it'll pain me when this happens. I think Captain America's going to die in Infinity Wars. And I think some things were set up in Civil War to kind of hint towards that.
If he doesn't, the thing about it is like,
I mean,
out of
even if he
every
dies, I
actor,
don't think it's gonna really. I don't even think it's gonna matter because they have the freaking Infinity Gauntlet. They can bring him back.
Yeah, actually, it is a theory of mine. I don't know if we want to talk about theories or not, but it is a theory of mine that in Infinity War, one of the things that we're going to see how powerful the Power Gauntlet is someone is going to bring back Quicksilver.
And he's gonna be like,
Oh man.
and he's gonna be a drone, and it's gonna be like, yep.
that's the thing is like,
Characters.
that's the thing is like, he's already contractually to appear in other movies, so that's why I looked at Alan Johnson. I'm like, yeah, isn't he?
He has a 3-picture deal, so technically he does have 2 more movies.
He has 2 more movies, so if he's brought back because of which stone, the revival stone. There we go. Yeah, which I don't think they have yet. So, but it's just
I
like
think there's 2 stones left.
2 stones left.
They need the reality stone and the time stone.
The time stone.
No,
So
the power stone was in Guardians of the Galaxy, wasn't it?
the
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
the Power Stone.
Yeah, that's yeah. So the only ones that are left are the reality stone and the time stone. And the reality stone is probably in the Eye of Agamotto.
Yeah,
I think the reality stone is going to be in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, that's in definitely will probably in Doctor Strange. But seeing that, we probably could see the resurrection of some characters just for that movie.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I was thinking is that, all right, I've heard that at one point Bucky takes the mantle of Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think they could be setting that up?
I mean, Stan has
The actor doesn't want.
he has multiple. He has a lot more movies to go, but he doesn't want to play Cap. He feels like
he said that he doesn't want to, but he will if they write it for him.
Chris Evans or
Sebastian Stan.
Oh, okay, all right. Because I heard originally Chris Evans was going to drop out because of the physical demands of training for Captain America. But then I think he recently signed on for more movies.
Yeah,
no,
he changed his mind, and he's openly told, like in interviews and everything, he'll play the role as long as Marvel will let him.
Yeah,
okay,
that's good.
He's the one actor that you hear constantly saying, "I want to keep playing the character."
Yeah, because it's basically him and Robert Downey Jr. They genuinely love those characters. So, like, honestly,
Chris Evans has the hardest job though.
It was
Captain America literally is the most physically demanding role in the MCU.
Yeah,
from getting the physique for it, and then also like Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans have to truly physically transform themselves for their characters when the time comes. But when you look at Chris Evans, look how the way they write his fighting style, which is very much like an MMA fighting style. Chris Evans has literally the most physically demanding position in the MCU.
They proved it with the helicopter scene.
Man,
yeah,
I was that helicopter scene. As much as I like it, I was just like, Steve's not that strong. I was just like, yeah, he's not that strong.
Soldier. What do you mean he's not that strong?
No, because people get it misconceited that he's a super soldier makes it he's
super soldier. The super soldier serum only makes him peak human.
Yeah, it makes you at a peak level.
No, he's as strong as Spider-Man, isn't he?
He's not.
Spider-Man's stronger. Spider-Man at max has the force of 500 tons.
Yeah, like it's a total difference. Steve, to him, okay, let me tell you how 500 pounds to Steve is like lifting 100 pounds. That's nothing to him. But if you go over that limit, yeah, he's not as strong as you think he is. But the way they did that scene, I was like, okay, I get it. It was a showcase, okay, his will. But the Super Soldier Serum is not meant to give him that kind of strength.
I also saw
So,
that
are you saying
as
that? Wait,
like his.
are you basically stating that out of all the characters that have been nerfed in the MCU, they've actually bulked up Captain
Captain
America?
America. Yeah.
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 That's funny.
Yeah.
That's ironic.
They super nerf Thor. They don't nerf the Hulk as much, but they super nerf Thor. But they bulk up Captain America.
Nah. If you
No, I
really
don't
think
really.
about it, the Hulk is stupid. Like,
It doesn't matter.
I would say the Scarlet Witch, obviously, and Thor are like the most ridiculously nerfed characters.
Actually, I feel like Wanda isn't as nerfed as Thor. Wanda, I feel like is
Thor ain't as nerfed as Thor. As cinematic universe, Thor is weak compared to
Mm-hmm.
what he's
Yeah.
like in the comics. Because the way I look at it, first of all, I don't like that he relies too much on his hammer. He does not need that hammer. He does not need that hammer when so he's not as they made him too much relied on Mjolnir, which he doesn't need because he's fought in many a character without his hammer. The hammer is just an extension of his already powerful self, as
he's
it
beat
is.
the Hulk hand to hand. Like, come on.
So,
Man.
He's supposed to be a.
But there's not a lot of
god.
hand-to-hand fights in the two Thor movies. I really
I mean,
think about it.
that's just the problem with the Thor movies, though. Like,
Yeah.
that's not.
Like,
I agree.
so, but yeah, the thing about it also is like when you see the movies in general with Chris Evans, like you can see his legitimate care for that character, and that's why whenever he wants to step down, it's gonna be very hard. It's like, oh man, he's stepping down, like because you want to see him play it again, and he generally loves that character, Like I said in the beginning, he wasn't really for it because he knew that this was gonna put him now more in the general eye now.
And it was also going to put him in kind of a Chris Reeves style box.
Yeah, but
He actually did this.
if you look at it now, he's thankful for the Cap role because it's helped him now. He directs more. He does a lot of directing now and producing, so it helps him even more. He's talked about it.
I find it odd that he doesn't get more like action roles. Like I would love to see Chris
I
like
find it hilarious because, Chris Evans doesn't want to do other movies, but Thor's out here doing a million movies and all of them.
Oh yeah, Chris Hemsworth does
Like Mr. Evans does more behind the scenes, but outside of his Cap stuff. But if you look at his career before Cap, he was always in the comedic roles. Those romantic comedies or something like that. He was
or he was the funny teenage character.
Yeah,
He was a spot on Johnny Storm. I will say that, like, I will defend that to death. Like, he was a spot on Johnny Storm.
No,
he was a spot on.
And until Captain America, I think his most buff that he was for that movie, The Loser.
I can't even say he was the best thing about the Fantastic Four because the thing about the Fantastic Four is they always fail, but it's never the cast's fault because the cast is always solid. I thought the cast was pretty solid in the first ones, and I thought as bad as Fantastic was, it wasn't the cast's fault.
Oh yeah, the cast was great on paper. That would have been awesome, but
yeah. It's never the cast's fault. It's just the way the movies are written.
And the thing about it also is that with Chris Hemsworth, it's just like they did a video where he was kind of how come he wasn't in the new Cap, which I thought was really funny. But they did a poll one time. It's like, if you look at Chris Hemsworth's work, and this is really sad but shockingly true, every movie he does outside of Thor tanks at the box office. I'm like, is that legit for real? I'm like, and looked at every movie he's been in outside of Thor. I'm like, whoa, it's real. I was like,
no, Cabin wasn't in Bomb. Cabin was in Bomb.
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin was in Bomb, and not saying it's great, but
no, talking about him.
No, him as a lead. Him as a lead.
I think the sequel Bond, but the first movie did fairly well. Well enough to get a sequel.
In the lead role, his movies have tanked. How
many movies has he done outside of the Avengers? So
he did a Moby Dick movie.
The recent, the Moby Dick movie that came out last year.
He
That
does.
bomb hard.
He did
That
the
bomb, yeah, that
remake.
bomb, that movie was boring though.
He did the remake to Red Dawn.
Oh, was he the lead though?
Yep, he
Yeah.
did that. He did what was he? He's in all those Huntsman movies. He was like,
That's what I'm saying. Like the first one, I think did good. It did good at least to get a sequel,
and
and the second one bombed.
uh,
Well, I found out that the thing with Huntsman was it did well overseas.
yeah, overseas. But it's just kind of funny. Like, just,
It bombed domestically, but it did
Funny.
well.
wait, go ahead. What'd you say?
He said it's funny. It's sad. Like, it's,
No, I'm talking about something else. Not like that funny, but
Well, he just needs to pick better roles though, because like I mean, like this is some of the movies. This like the Huntsman movies are meh. Harder to See was it could have been good because it had good source material being Moby Dick, but
It was
And
also Ron Howard.
the way it was written.
Tom Holland was in that movie too.
yeah, that's where he got the yeah. Tom Holland was in the movie. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I'm saying like I mean, I can't even say it
Now
was
he's
a boring
gonna
movie, but was it a bad movie? Nah.
and now
it's Hemsworth. This is for you, my friend.
he's gonna be the male version of Janine in the Ghostbusters movie.
And that's not a
Oh
good
yeah, he is. Yo,
not a
I
good sign for the Ghostbusters movie.
forgot about that.
So yeah, he's gonna be in there. So
Ghostbusters.
so but the point is like the thing about also when you look at Civil War is that it ended also with I love the Steve Spidey talking, which he wants to be in the Homecoming too. He wants to be in it. We know
I want him
he's gonna be
to.
in it, but I would love to see Steve in there too. And I love that line where he says, "You got a heart, kid." He's like, "Where you from?" It's Queens, and it Brooklyn. I was like, "Yeah, I got that line."
Man, as a New Yorker, you do that all the time. Whenever you meet a new friend from New York, you always do a borough check. Like,
Yeah, what borough you from? If you, especially if you're from one of the five boroughs, like where you from?
And then he had the bruise later, and it's like who
Yeah,
gave
that,
you
and,
this?
yeah, going into that part, yes,
I love that. It's like,
like,
no, you don't know him. He's from Brooklyn.
he's from Brooklyn, and then we end with the spider signal. Finally, it's like,
I geeked out so hard.
Same.
that was great. I was just loving that part, just seeing him with that, and then it just makes you just so more enthusiastic for Homecoming. Even though and that thing that you said, Jay, makes me wonder, like, that could that be how they're gonna play it off? Because it would make a little sense.
It sounds really legit, and the Reddit user that predicted this has been accurate like 9 times out of 10.
You know,
Well, if they do
really
it the way
sucks
that you said,
it sucks that they're really stuck on like keeping the Netflix series kind of separate because really Daredevil and Spider-Man should intermix a lot, and I don't know if it's
That's true. Yeah, they're best friends.
I kind of think Spider-Man. I understand from a business standpoint why it's not, but Spider-Man would actually work better as a Netflix series.
I would have
You know?
especially loved to see Danny and Pete interact because they're both the lighter, more jokey characters, and it would have been fantastic just to see those two. And I just want Kyle. I know Kyle would want to hear this. But I would love to hear Pete just go up to Danny and be like, "Danny, Iron Fist him," and it's just like,
Iron Fist, like which he doesn't like. He's like,
that.
he said that.
and I tell you what I would want to see though is I would want to see Pete and Luke because I love their interactions in Bendis's Avengers.
Oh yeah, like yo, web me up. Okay.
You had a crush on him?
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
really
I
weird.
didn't say that.
the
No,
reason
he has a crush on him in the comics. Yeah, he has a man crush on him. So.
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't say you said that. No, it was a line that Luke said to Jessica. He was
Jessica.
like,
Oh yeah.
you really had a crush on him?
the thing is,
Oh, yeah.
I would love to hear,
Yeah.
Peter Daredevil figure out who Peter Parker is, like just listen to his heartbeat, like, because that's how Daredevil found out who Peter Parker, Spider-Man was. He's like, I just listened to your heartbeat,
Yep.
and he just says, he's like, hey Peter, hey Spider, like, who are you? That'd be so funny.
Yep.
Who are you?
Yeah, and you talk about like new Avengers stuff that probably won't ever happen, but you still would love to see. I'd love to see that moment where someone wants to give Spider-Man a paycheck, but they can't do it unless they know his real name, and he doesn't want to give
You
his
can
real
do that.
name.
You can do that in the
I,
movie.
I would have liked to see. I would like to see maybe like Spider-Man gets in trouble like and they do kind of or Peter gets in trouble with something and they kind of do what they did in the '90s cartoon where
Oh,
Jameson pays for
a
hiring
lawyer,
Matt. Yeah.
a defense lawyer.
Just no polo, please. No polo.
Oh God.
But
Nah.
Civil War will probably go down as, once again, like we all said, it's like one of the movies that really jumbled so many things and it did it right. We've seen a
Hmm.
lot of movies, especially superhero movies, that try to juggle so many things at once, and it was a failure. So
And also, you
this
got
one actually did it right, and now it makes you wonder. In this, and once again, trust in the Russo brothers because it's like they got it. They got it.
Uma.
for Infinity War, 58
Well,
characters.
I think they're changing the name of it now, but
Yeah, they're changing the name.
Well,
So
until they change it, I'm still gonna refer to it as Infinity War.
no, you will refer to it as
I
the movie.
lightweight want the Russos to now write every single Marvel. I mean, I just want them to write, be oversee the whole thing. No, and I hate. I'm not trying to sound like a fanboy, but look at everything they've written so far for MCU. It's been the
Well, they don't.
standout best.
Well, they don't write the movies. They have a team. They have Marcus. I forget their names, but the Russo brothers direct. They don't write. So there's a writing team. I forget what their names are, but they wrote Winter Soldier and they wrote this one and they're writing the movies, the two-part Avengers films. So they just direct them.
Yeah.
So
But before we go, we gonna talk about Easter eggs?
yeah,
I thought we all talked about all of those pretty much.
I think we did.
We
So,
pretty much
Oh,
covered
well,
a lot of them, except for like the community ones and
I
the
just wanna-
Arrested Development ones.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring those up. Because for those that don't know, the Russo brothers, they actually got their start on doing episodes of Arrested Development and Community, and they do like an Easter egg to both. For Community, it's more obvious. They have
Yeah,
Jim
'cause they-
Rash.
And they also include Abed like they did in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
in this one they included the dean from Community.
oh yeah, the one that was like, yeah. So this actually because of the staff too, right? I mean,
And their Arrested Development Easter egg is actually more subtle and harder to find. But in the epic airport scene,
The staircase
in
car.
staircase car, and it actually has Bluth written on it. Like it's actually the car from Arrested Development,
Yep.
which is really cool.
Yeah, this movie is a real good. It was a really nice indication for what we have coming up for Thanos, and if
Yeah.
they can handle, they just need to make sure they get this villain right.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
this is definitely the villain that needs to be. All this build up for him, you got to really deliver with him. Like,
And honestly,
I mean, really think?
in
what was Jacob?
I was about to say, if you honestly think about it, they've only been building him up for like 4 years, and we've only had like three appearances, 2 end credit scenes, and 1 scene in Guardian. So it's like, I would need a lot more just for them to go, well, all that build up went to nothing, even if he is just okay. Like,
I think
he needs to be in everything.
But also, one other thing though is in the movies, there really hadn't been too many good villains. I mean,
Or villains that stayed alive.
honestly, Zemo is up there for me, and he's not even a good representation of his comic version.
I still think they should have. I still think they should have did the Red Skull reveal. They wasted their opportunity.
Well, apparently
that would have been beast. That would have been beast.
It
You know
was
what MCU villain I liked? I actually liked the Stain from the first Iron Man movie. I thought he was really good.
He made it from a box of scrap.
Crap.
yeah, him, Loki, and a couple others, but main, but
Ultron's the best.
they have,
I like Ultron.
Yeah.
I still like Ultron.
Ultron is
I do too.
Screw Loki.
But as far as the universe overall, still the top two are
Net-
Vincent D'Onofrio and David Tennant.
Yep.
Yeah, the actors are very evil. That's
You
awesome.
know what I mean.
That's just funny though. David Tennant is the best supervillain ever.
David
like
Tennant actually asked questions from Marvel not too long ago. I was watching people asking him questions. It was so funny. He had me laughing on that one.
I'm really disappointed that we don't have like a special with David Tennant's Purple Man, Kingpin, and Ultron where they just go around fucking shit up. Like, I'm really disappointed we don't have that.
But
I just want like a little special.
speaking of questions, were there any?
Where is it?
No.
I know Alana
Not
left a
really.
couple. Alana left a couple comments that we answered. Let me check again.
Yeah.
Nate.
I've
just-
been watching it the entire time.
Okay, cool. Then never mind. Yeah. So there's still.
I think Thanos is supposed to be in Ragnarok. 'Cause I've heard that Ragnarok actually is supposed to be a big setup too for Infinity Wars.
I mean, there's that second gauntlet in Odin's Vault, and Odin does have one of the stones.
Yeah, and speaking of,
But I thought they gave
Ragnarok,
that they have the Tesseract, and then they gave the Aether to the Collector.
The
Yeah,
Tesseract is the Tesseract is the space stone
Right. And then they gave the Aether
to the Collector.
Yeah, the Collector still has it, I think.
I don't think. I thought they gave it to the Nova Corps at the end of Guardians because
The
Power Stone was given to.
the Guardians give the Power Stone to the Nova Corps.
But
The
Sif
Collector-
Sif I forget which one of the Warriors
It was Volstagg.
was Volstagg, but Sif and Volstagg gave the Ether slash whatever stone that was to the Collector.
yeah, but to Ragnarok though,
I'll do it myself.
I read an interview. This flags back to our talk about Hulk. Mark Ruffalo gave an interview about Ragnarok, and he said that bit of bad news. Him in Ragnarok is the closest thing that we're going to get to a Hulk movie in a long time. Those are his words.
So it's gonna be more Hulk than Thor.
It is his own movie. That's
That's
I think
like
it's going to be like,
that is the mark of the lack of faith that like the Thor movies have inspired.
all right.
I mean, come
Thor movies
on.
are definitely the weakest part of the MCU.
You have Christopher Eccleston playing Malekith, and yet you still fuck that up.
Yep. They fucked up the second they cast Padme as Jane Foster. Just saying.
All right. We're on Captain
Hey,
America.
he's not going to be in
Yeah,
it.
other than that, Jake, close this out, Jake. Close this out.
All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed our Civil War discussion and a little bit of our random rambling as usual. But until next time, we still have more superhero movies, guys. We've got X-Men and we've got Suicide Squad for the summer. So look forward to that. I know I saw X-Men opening weekend. I thought it was pretty solid. I know we're probably going to wait till either next week or the week after to do a full discussion on it. But I honestly enjoyed it. They got my gene right. That's all I cared about. And Scott had a legit character arc. But yeah, look forward to X-Men and Suicide Squad coming up, guys. Until next time, like I always say, once comic book geek, always comic book geek. Later.